Cet homme est un anthropophage. Il s'appelle Issei Sagawa, japonais né à Kobe il y a 32 ans. Jeudi dernier, il a tué d'une balle dans la tête sa camarade de faculté, Renee Hartevelt, une Hollandaise de 25 ans. Puis il a dépecé le corps, l'a conservé chez lui jusqu'à samedi soir, et pendant ces 2 jours, à plusieurs reprises, il a mangé des morceaux de la chair de sa victime. Lorsque les policiers l'ont arrêté hier soir, il y en avait encore dans son réfrigérateur. Sagawa a tout avoué et il a dit que ses désirs sexuels avaient toujours été accompagnés de pulsions anthropophagiques, mais que ces pulsions disparaissaient avec l'assouvissement de ses désirs.
ものを考えたり、人の心を感じ取ったり、もうそんなことはやめようと思っています。
Hey friends, it's Akideris. So a lot of you guys know me as someone that likes to dive deep, and I mean deep into true crime. Now, given my Detective Aki series on this channel, you guys might know that I tend to just focus around cases in Japan. But for today's case, I'm actually going to be talking about one of the more infamous ones that people outside of Japan actually do know about, and that is the case of the Kobe cannibal, Issei Sagawa. Now, if you guys don't know about this case, a man named Issei Sagawa lived in France for an X amount of time, and during his stay there, he met many different women, and one in specific was a Dutch woman named Renee, and he brought her back home, murdered her, and then ate her body. And this news blew up so much in not only Japan, but also in France, which also traveled across Europe. I know that Vice made an entire interview on their channel with Issei Sagawa before he passed away, which, by the way, if you guys didn't know, this man is already dead. He actually passed away in November last year due to some health problems that he had, I believe. Oh yeah, and what's also crazy about this entire case was that he was able to walk free because of, 1, legality reasons between Japan and France, and 2, because his dad was rich and got him out of jail. So he was able to walk as a free man, and during that time, he actually made a few books that he drew and wrote himself, and I actually have a couple of them with me right now. So the first one that I have is this, called The Paris Cannibal Massacre. Now, I'm actually not going to be talking too much about this. This is a novel, and it not only details what he did with Renee, but he also details adult videos that he performed in. He details women that he met, and what's really strange about this book is the art in it. Now, this is basically like a collage of photos and him drawing over them, and it's very, very strange artwork. There's him right there, and I'm not sure who this woman is, but I think it is also somebody that he managed to hook up with. With that being said, he actually made another book, which is a manga that he drew and wrote all by himself, detailing everything about the case regarding Renee. He describes himself as like a devilish character, and it is in this manga called Sagawa-san. And I actually have a few markers here that I did want to show you guys. I was trying to translate what I could. This one really is just disgusting. He's drawing the brother of his victim, Renee. What's wild too is that he's also saying that right here, the death penalty was abolished in France, which means that he couldn't get executed. So that was his way of sort of mocking at the brother that, yeah, as much as you want me dead right now for what I did to your sister, I'm going to walk as a free man. Now, what was really crazy is that in the midst of me going through this book, I was bookmarking all the things that I wanted to show and just translate on camera to you guys, because this is all in Japanese, right? But it eventually led me to find the only published book of the English version of Issei Sagawa's manga. And it was on Amazon, of all places. And then I just thought, who had the time to not only find a manga that was this niche and hard to find, but also translate the entire thing and publish it? And not to mention, it's literally the manga. It has all the same pictures, the same text, everything, and the translation's perfect. And so it led me to look up the publishing company, and I'll just show it to you guys here. It's called Serial Pleasures. And so I looked them up on their website, and what was so wild was that on this website, not only does it sell this book, but it sells letters and art and belongings of serial killers. And I thought, is this legit? Like, how did you even get these, especially letters of serial killers? So I looked into it and I found the owner, who goes by Nico, and he is a huge true crime connoisseur. He actually does send letters to serial killers in or out of jail, and sometimes I would assume he sells those letters on his website. And amongst those letters was Sagawa, who he was actually the pen pal of for 10 years. And when I found that out, I was like, I need to see if this is legit. So I emailed him. He emailed me back within an hour and said, yeah, I've got a lot of stuff that I've collected over the 10 years. I'd be happy to show it to you. So for the next 20 minutes, it's going to be an in-depth interview between me and Nico. Hey guys, post-Aki editing the video right now, but since you guys are about to see the interview with Nico, I actually just found out tonight while editing of another YouTuber named Jake Weber who made this video collaborating with Nico. And this video reveals that Nico himself is also a convicted cannibal. And I didn't know this before the interview. There was nothing in the interview that even alluded to this fact. And I'm still shocked of the realization that I literally just sat down talking about cannibalism with an actual cannibal. So I felt like I had to say that now, because if I don't, then someone in the comments is going to. And I hope either way you guys will appreciate what we had to talk about in regards to true crime and the case itself. All right, enjoy the video. Okay, so I'm here with Nico. So could you just introduce yourself for a little bit?
Well, I'm a French author. I'm also a publisher. I have a publishing company called Serial Pleasures. I have been writing to serial killers and criminals for the past 30 years. So I have an extensive collection of artifacts from criminals from around the world. Right now I'm working with an exhibition, a world tour, paintings, letters and objects that have belonged to serial killers. And I have corresponded with Issei Sagawa for about 10 years.
10 years. Can I just start off, how did you even get in contact with him?
So I was corresponding with this British serial killer called Jan Brady in the UK. I had always been fascinated by the Sagawa story because it happened in Paris, and I'm from Paris too. I was about 11 or 12 years old when it happened. I totally remember the news on the TV and everything that came out when he was arrested. So I have always been fascinated by his case. In France, it was called the case of the Japanese cannibal. I knew that Brady was in touch with Sagawa because they both were participating to an American book called Apocalypse Culture. And so I asked Jan Brady, but at the time he was in prison, and I asked him if he could get me the address of Sagawa because I couldn't find it anywhere. A few weeks later I got his address, and then I sent a letter to him, and I got a reply 2 weeks after.
Oh wow! And so you just became pen pals with Issei Sagawa through that?
Yeah, we became pen pals. He would send me really short letters, but in French. That's the interesting thing because he was actually fluent in French.
Vraiment, je ne connais pas. C'est pour ça je voulais savoir pourquoi j'ai eu l'option de ce genre. Mais aucun psychiatre ne savait pas analyser.
All in all, I got 30 or 40 letters from him throughout those 10 years. There was some very amazing content in the letters.
Yeah, first off, can you show some of the letters if you still have them?
Yeah, sure. This is a typical letter from Sagawa. So it's written in French. At the time I was living in Sweden. Okay, let me show you his signature somewhere. Issei. Okay.
I think I should probably blur out the phone number there, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's an old phone number, but yeah.
Did you guys call?
No, I never actually got to speak to him, but I was supposed to meet him last year. And there was this Japanese journalist who wanted to go organize some kind of meeting, so I had to fly to Japan and meet him. But then he passed away. I think it was in late November last year.
Yeah, it was November.
So couldn't do it.
Going back from the first letter that you got from him, what was that interaction like?
Very bizarre. I used to write to about 30 serial killers. As weird as it sounds, the weirdest letters I ever got were from Sagawa, and not from people who killed like 30 or 50 people. Sagawa was the weirdest. He would ask the weirdest questions. He was still obsessed with cannibalism. He would ask a lot of questions about my favorite cannibal movies, for example, and stuff like that. So that was very weird. There was also this thing happened when I was living in Sweden. I was at the time my girlfriend was Swedish, so I sent him a family photo of me and her, and just to show him how life in Sweden was. And he sent me a letter a few weeks later, and he was asking if me and my girlfriend wanted to eat him. He wanted to sell everything he owned, fly to Sweden, and he wanted us to actually eat him. So when I saw the letter, of course I laughed because I couldn't take this seriously. But my girlfriend totally freaked out, of course.
Yeah.
She was like, "Oh, he's got our address. He's gonna come over," and
yeah, that would freak me out too. Wow.
But yeah, I knew him. I had been knowing him for quite a while, so I knew that maybe it was just talk.
And what was your reply when he asked for you and your girlfriend to eat him? How do you respond to that?
To be honest with you, I wanted to encourage him to be crazier and crazier in each letter because I just found it funny, This would never happen, but just the fact of getting the letters and this crazy content, I really enjoyed it. I don't know, what if he really got that plane ticket and come to Sweden? Maybe that's what he told me, and when he would have been in Sweden, maybe when I would have my back turned, he would have pulled out a gun and shot me in the back of the head, I don't know.
Bro, if I were your girlfriend, I would have been changing, moving houses and everything. Oh my lord.
For me, it was just a fantasy that he had.
And do you know anything regarding Renee? It seems like there's no info about her life other than just the murder.
The side story is that there is a famous French magazine called Photo. I have it here. We will have to blur it a little because it was an adult magazine, so the cover is a bit
Okay, yeah, I got it.
But this inside there are photos that were leaked from the morgue. There's nothing too graphic in the photo. You can figure out, I think, there's the foot.
Can I compare it to the one from his manga? His drawing versus...
that's exactly that. The reality of the photo. So with my publishing company, I released we're the only one who have released the Manga by Sagawa. Mm-hmm. The actual translation of the manga you were showing a little bit earlier. Yeah. So you can find it either on Amazon. Yeah, that's the one. Oh yeah, this is way more explicit.
Oh my
God. So those photos, they were leaked. It's a guy who worked in the morgue at the time, and he sold the photos to that magazine. So the family of Renee actually sued the magazine, of course. And I think that the owner of the magazine went to jail. He actually went to jail because of that. Because one of the things that I'm going to show you, which is crazy, it's one of the earlier stuff that Sagawa sent me. And it's an actual picture of the girl, and it's signed on the back.
Oh my lord.
Yeah. So he was proud, more or less, of this, you know what I mean? Mm. So, I keep it because, it's a crazy item, but he sent me that. Yeah, it's signed with him, Japanese Cannibal. It's mean Japanese Cannibal, Issei, and it's an actual picture of the victim.
What was France's response when his crimes came out? This is probably before you started writing him.
Okay, the thing is, when it happened, it was the first time in the history of crime in France that something like this happened. So it's the first time that there was a cannibal case in France. So it was all over the news, of course. When you look back at how the media and the press, they talked about the case, it was kind of, honestly, when I look back at it, it was kind of racist. They were talking about this Japanese guy and just insisting on the fact that he was Japanese. Yeah, Japanese people are capable of the worst, you know what I mean? So it was really extremely racist when you look at the headlines. Also the fact that they thought that it was a love story turned wrong. Sagawa never said that he was in love with his victim, but he said he actually said that version to the psychiatrist, the French psychiatrist, because he knew that by saying that he would get what they call a diminished responsibility. They would more or less understand the crime, and it would become a crime of passion. So this is the story that he made up for the psychiatrist. This was no crime of passion. It was absolutely not that at all. It was just a sadistic crime.
Right.
And it was a crime that he committed because he was obsessed with those thoughts about cannibalism. So this is why he tried to kill several sex workers before, and it didn't turn out the way he wanted to. So this is why he set up this trap, and he invited this girl to his place, and that this is why he killed her. And I remember that the ambassador of Japan in Holland had to actually meet the parents of the victim, and I think that he went on his knees and asked them for forgiveness.
Yeah, and then I understand he also like sent you a few other things in the mail. I think I saw you had like a cool like VHS tape.
Oh yeah, I have to show you this because this is actually insane. So it's called, well, you actually told me how it's called because I wasn't sure of the title. It's called 1 Week with Sagawa. It's an extremely bizarre tape. I don't even know who produced it, but yeah, an extremely weird item.
まあ確かになんか変な走り方でもうわ何これ何か表現できないこんなの結構ね言ってますよどうぞうわ上がんないですかもうちょっと力入れて頑張ってもうちょっとうわ
you kept in contact with him for like 10 years. Was there ever a point in all of these bizarre like letters that you were getting where you thought maybe I should stop writing to him? Or
yeah, sometimes he would ask money, of course. He would ask me to sell his stuff. It was more about this that for me was a bit annoying after a while. He was broke all the time. He would spend his money on sex workers and on stuff. He wasn't able to work anyway, so people would not hire him anyway. So his family was so fed up with him because traveling around the world, and his father wanted him to keep a low profile, which is totally understandable. At the end of the of the 2000s, the last few years before he died, he was selling a lot of his art and trying to find buyers for his paintings. For this exhibition I'm working on about serial killers, we actually have a corner with Sagawa stuff. So there's like chopsticks that he signed and letters and art. So if you're ever in Europe and you see the exhibition, you can come by and see his stuff. Did he ever mention
Renee in his letters?
No, this is one thing that he would never talk about. No, he never mentioned the crime itself. Well, he would allude, for example, let me show you the way he would allude to the crime. This is one of the things that he would say, okay? So there's his name, a sign on the middle, and there's pictures of cannibals.
Yeah, I know.
You recognize you did a video on it?
Yeah, it's Tomo Miyazaki. That one is Albert Fish on the lower right-hand corner. Left is Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know the I don't know the top left and top right.
So this one is Ed Gein. He was a cannibal from Wisconsin in the 50s, and this is Andrei Chikatilo. Well, they actually pronounce it Chikatiwa. It's a Russian cannibal. So all those characters and him in the middle are actual cannibals, and it's probably, I don't know what it says, but it's probably him showing that he's part of the crew. See what I mean? And actually, he sent me something with Renee. I forgot totally. I don't know what it says. It's a picture of her.
Says like, oh, so delicious. It's like,
okay, I didn't even know it.
Oh,
I had this, I didn't even know it.
Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
Jesus Christ, dude, this collection is...
Yeah.
I think you might honestly have probably like the biggest Issei Sagawa collection I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, probably. Send me also this, I don't know if it's a Nico, I don't even know how...
It's upside down?
Maybe this way?
It's upside down. I'm gonna screenshot that and try to translate that later.
Yeah, it's his obsession. He wrote a recipe for one of my books, because I published a cannibal cookbook. So there's recipes from many cannibals, and there's a Issei Sagawa recipe.
Sagawa. Oh, shabu shabu. Oh wow.
So he wrote that to me, and I published it in the book because it was some kind of novelty book with recipes from cannibals. You have to understand something about Sagawa. Of course, this fantasy of eating a woman, a European woman, this fantasy became obsessive thoughts when he was a teenager and a young adult. And this is why he actually committed this crime. But when he was released from prison and the psychiatric ward, there was some kind of regret, even if I don't believe that he had sincere regrets over the crime. But there was another form of redemption that he was looking for, and this time he developed this fantasy of being eaten alive by a European woman. Maybe it was his way of making amends. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was a very complex individual, very, very tormented.
How many serial killers in general have you been in contact with?
About 30. Yeah, about 30. Mostly Americans, but also Europeans.
I guess I'll ask it this way. Have you gained some kind of empathy or understanding by interacting with them?
Not empathy. Empathy, because you always have to keep in mind that they are extremely manipulative people. They always don't see you as a friend, but they see you as a means to something. When you correspond with somebody who's on death row, they will ask you to contact a lawyer for them so they can help them with their case. They will ask for stamps, they will ask for this, they will ask for that. They want you to sell their art. They always want to use you for something. So yeah, no sympathy whatsoever. But as I told you, I also collect art made by criminals, and I've always found fascinating a drawing or a painting made by the same hands that have killed someone. This is what we're showing in our exhibition. We're showing paintings made by serial killers, sometimes hand tracings. They trace their hands on a piece of paper. So it's always fascinating to see this for real, to see the actual drawing, because there's so much, there's like a part of their soul in the art. Okay?
Yeah.
I strongly believe that objects carry the soul of the persons who own them.
And on a side note, since you do sell art, I need to ask, what's the most expensive thing that you've sold that belonged to Issei Sagawa?
Oh, Sagawa, you would expect between probably 1,000 US dollars to 2,000. It's not the most expensive of them all compared to someone like John Wayne Gacy or Ted Bundy. But since he passed away, the art has become more sought after. So it's always the same thing, We have the Dahmer glasses in our expo, and the Dahmer glasses are considered as one of the most expensive objects that you can get. So you might have last year there was a lot of talk about the Dahmer glasses because they was for sale at the time, and we got them for the expo, and they're probably what we would call the jewels of the crown of the expo, because they're so unique and everybody wants to see them. Yeah, this is the kind of expensive objects that you can get concerning criminals. Yeah.
So many like guys who are wondering like, why is my girlfriend like watching first thing in the morning of like true crime? Like it's, and all I have to say is like my fascination. I don't like that it happened. I don't like what happened, but you can't. It's like a car crash that you can't look away from. Like you just want to know what led up to this. I'm more fascinated with like the psychology behind it.
It's only human, you know. It's not because you're fascinated with that stuff that you're evil or you're a bad person, and it just shows that you have a curiosity. And there's also the fact that they have been so fictionalized by movies like Silence of the Lambs, etc. So it's always interesting to see reality versus fiction. It's not only about the crimes, but about what it tells about society. For example, in the Dahmer case, it was extremely interesting to see in the series how it was so easy for him to get away with him with the victims that he would pick up, because the police wouldn't care and society wouldn't care, you know what I mean? Okay. We also have another book that's kind of interesting. It's called Satsujin. It's about Japanese prank criminals.
Yeah, I did a...
So you will find this interesting. I'll send you a copy.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you for sharing that. I'll definitely try and get a copy myself. I don't know how you sleep at night, dude, because I read one case and I'm good for the day.
I want to stress also people are like, okay, it's too morbid, it's too this and that. And I understand it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, when you want to understand the psychology of criminals, sometimes you have to dig a little deep. Some of us, they dig a little bit deeper, but the important is to respect the subject. Thank you for showing those cases that are not so well known, the Japanese cases that deserve to be more researched, and they're extremely fascinating. So thank you for that too.
Oh, thank you so much.
I forgot to show you this because we haven't.
No, oh
Sagawa,
my lord, it doesn't end. You got mugs too? Like, no, it's cool. Like, believe me, I'm blown away by your commitment to true crime. Thank you so much for being here, and hopefully we can talk more about true crime in the future. But again, guys, feel free to follow him, and thanks for watching. Bye!